the Dandy Andy Experience.
And welcome back to the Dandy Andy Experience. I hope each and every one of you are doing all right today or tonight. For this episode, it's going to be pretty jam-packed. This was originally going to be 2 separate episodes, and I decided to go ahead and just combine the 2 just because there's a lot going on. And I don't know, I just really couldn't justify turning these into videos. I feel like because I felt like the scripts that I was kind of working with were a little weak, and it would just be better suited for this format, if that makes any sense. It's not so, well, it is exciting, but it's, I don't know. I won't lie. I just didn't want to do it for a video. Maybe in the future when I have more information, but I think this is something that's more fun to just kind of have a conversation with you guys about. So today we're going to be talking about how big is it really, the Grand Theft Auto 6 map. And we're also going to be talking about how the story might be a little darker than what people are expecting. And we'll also be answering a metric crap ton of your questions because you guys are amazing. And on episode 6, left so many. So today, I'm also going to have some gameplay pulled up here that is not Grand Theft Auto 6. This is a modded Fallout New Vegas, a heavily modded Fallout New Vegas, like thousands of mods. And it's being played on a ROG Ally X. So this is just kind of what I've been doing in my downtime. And I don't know, the gameplay is really fun. And I thought it would be just kind of interesting to have on the screen. So if you're watching, there's something interesting happening. But if you're listening, just know that there's Fallout gameplay going on. So anyways, let's get into this. Okay, so how big is it really? And I've been asked this question before. And just messing around. Not that big, but anyways, so everyone thinks they kind of know how big Grand Theft Auto 6's map is going to be. You know, like you go on Reddit or the forums anywhere online and they're like, oh no, this one video is totally wrong, or this video is wrong, and oh, this guy's wrong. Hey, here's how big it's really. You know, you don't know. No one really knows. The people who know the most are the guys who do the Grand Theft Auto 6 mapping project. And one of those guys, I don't have his name pulled up now, but he recently humbled me and made a video about how, you know, me and a bunch of other YouTubers were throwing around the 95% accurate number. Like they got it 95% accurate, and it was totally wrong. And the reason I said 95% accurate is I believe I saw it in a Google AI overview, and I didn't mark it to be something to be revisited for, you know, confirmation, like find the source of where that number came from and then why that number existed. And that's something I do now. But I didn't do that then because you got to remember, I made that one video, Grand Theft Auto 6 should be slower, whatever. And my channel started growing really fast. And I was like, oh, let's just jump right in and just start reporting on stuff. And, you know, it turns out you actually have to check notes and stuff like that. So a lot of that information, though, I still stand by because it's what we all have to go off of. Just, you know, I throw out some buzz numbers in there, like the whole 16 times the detail thing that Todd Howard is notorious for. So anyways, the guy made a video on it and he was going through every single time we said the 95% number, not just me, but other guys who have said the same number, and he would like to go like, and I think it's funny. And it was really cool. It's a good video. And maybe if I can remember to, I'll link it in the description of this podcast. It's a really good video though, because he goes and he breaks down kind of why we said that. He also looks at what the Grand Theft Auto 5 map was truly looking like right before it leaked. So, you know, a lot of the times what we'll do, the GTA YouTubers or whatever who are talking about Grand Theft Auto 6's map, is we'll pull up this Grand Theft Auto 5 map that is basically a 1-to-1, you know, version of the map that we have in Grand Theft Auto 5. And we'll be like, look, they got it this close. And because they got it this close, that means that we're pretty much in that ballpark, 95% accurate, baby. Well, the thing is apparently the map had leaked and then they had updated the map that they had. And that's why it was pretty much, quote unquote, 95% accurate. The true map that they had right before that. And he did a good job of saying, you know, it's really hard to put a numerical value on stuff like this. But it would be closer to 80% accurate. And if you look at the other one, you know, the Grand Theft Auto 5 map looks like a Ninja Turtle who's about to punch you. Well, just imagine that, but like squashed, and then his face is more to the right, and it's kind of like at an angle, and it's very wide up top instead of just straight up and down. So yeah, anyways, I'll put a note somewhere to link that so that you guys can check out that video if you want. You can hear my voice with a buzzer. It's great. So anyways, with that out of the way, we were talking about, how everyone thinks they've got it right. Everyone thinks the other people are wrong about the map size and all that. And the truth is we're all wrong, and nobody knows for sure until, like I like to say, until there's a controller in your hand and you're playing the actual game, because how else could you really know? We're all in this together. This is all speculation. And I think that transparency is very important. And I also think that the people out there who come into the comments and are like, oh, this guy's just desperate for views, blah, blah, blah. They need to have a little bit of understanding when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, people like that are dicks to begin with. But what I'm trying to say is I'm figuring this stuff out with you guys. It just so happens that, I was making video content about what I just enjoy making, and I love Grand Theft Auto. I made one video about it. It took off. And now it seems like I'm doing the Grand Theft Auto thing, And of course, I'm going to keep making videos about Grand Theft Auto. Why wouldn't I? If it's getting views, it's getting subscribers. I do run ads on here, and it helps me significantly pay with bills and everything. And you guys know how expensive everything's gotten. So yes, but it's not like I'm talking about something I don't care about. I love Grand Theft Auto. I love Rockstar games. Red Dead Redemption is tied with Metal Gear Solid 3 for my favorite video game of all time. So this is awesome for me. So anyways, I know that's a huge tangent, and I'm over here like trying to justify why I do all of this stuff. But that's what this platform's for, right? Is for me to just kind of shoot the crap with y'all and just talk off the cuff. I'm just talking to you. So, and I hope your day's going all right, by the way. And if you're working, man, I hope your shift is going all right. So, whoa, man, I kind of really just went off the beaten path there. But there's all these rumors and stuff about the mapping project. And let's strip that away a little bit. Let's look at, maybe how the math, the coordinates, the grid, and the leaked data. We kind of get a different picture of what this map's going to look like. And when I say that, I mean mainly more of we get a different perspective on maybe the approach to creating the maps that we're seeing. Does that make any sense? Probably not. So we're going to do our best here to try not to guess. I'm just going to go off of things that have already been confirmed. And when I say confirmed, it's loose. I mean, I feel like I got to say before everything, like take with a grain of salt and all that. So just from here on, just know, take with a grain of salt. I'm not preaching to you as if this is 100% truth. Okay. So let's look at the official geography. So in trailer 1 and trailer 2, Rockstar's official site descriptions and all that kind of stuff, we do have a confirmed list of major biomes. I mean, that's no secret. You've seen them. I've seen them. We've all seen them. And they do outline the map's borders. You can see it in the screenshots, for example. So we know at the heart of the map is going to be Vice City. And of course, that's going to be what it is. Imagine like Los Santos and Grand Theft Auto 5, basically. And so Vice City, of course, is Rockstar's fictional Miami. And it's going to be updated to reflect what modern day Miami is like, and not that awesome 1980s Miami that we had in the original Vice City from 2002. So, but I do kind of also miss that city only approach in 2002's Vice City, just because, I don't know, there's just something about it. It made it feel like you're on some magical land, some magical island where all this stuff is going down. I don't know. But of course, it's 2026. We want a lot more than that. So we want more Leonida. And official screenshots have confirmed, of course, the Grass Rivers, the endgame version of the Everglades, which is going to act as a massive wetland barrier to the south and the west. We have confirmed the existence of Port Gellhorn, which is a second major industrial hub located far from Vice City, likely based on Panama City or similar Gulf Coast towns. And critically, we have the Leonida Keys or the Gator Keys. And so in Grand Theft Auto 5, the map ended kind of at the airport, and so same with Grand Theft Auto 4. A lot of Grand Theft Auto maps end at the airports, like on the edges of the map. But in Grand Theft Auto 6, there is clearly a massive overseas highway stretching south into the archipelago. So Rockstar's own press release calls this the biggest and most immersive evolution of the Grand Theft Auto series yet. But evolution doesn't always mean bigger. It means denser. Think Red Dead Redemption 2. The map was big, yes, but it was dense. Go over to New Austin and Red Dead 2. You'll start to see that sizes and everything. The map size of Red Dead Redemption 2 feels huge, and it actually feels bigger than it really is because of how dense the world is. You can get lost. If you travel 5 feet and you get sucked into something and you spend a lot of time there, of course the map's going to feel bigger because it takes you longer to get from point A to point B because a lot's happening to you along the way. So, I don't know. Red Dead Redemption 2 is really a masterclass when it comes to stuff like that. So, anyways, in September of 2022, of course, there was the huge leaks, 90 videos of early development footage leaked, and I pull a lot of my stuff when we're talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 from there, and how could you not? There's so much information crammed into this. You can find it out there. It's so frustrating because I can't tell you where, but it's super easy to find, and Google is your friend. I'll just say that. And so Rockstar and Take-Two legally did confirm the footage was real. So whatever that means, that's the note that I had written there. And that's important because the footage contained something more valuable than gameplay. And I've talked about this a lot, but the coordinate grid. Okay, so the coordinate grid is massive because it can help you place where things are in the world. You know, depending on where they're at in these leaks, it doesn't even matter what they're testing. Just whatever area they're in, just look at the coordinates and then start to compare it to the others, and you can start to kind of triangulate, where certain things are. So, in game development, every object exists on an X, Y, and Z axis. So in the debug menus, there was basically in the debug menus visible in the leaks, we could literally see the player's exact position in the world. So it was really cool. It's kind of like a 0,0, point. That would be the center of the world, and that appears to be somewhere south of the main Grass Rivers area. So clips showed the player as far north as coordinates 3,000 and as far south as -3,000. So specific clips of Port Gellhorn, police chase, placed that city thousands of units away from Vice City. So why does that matter? Well, because we know the scale of the Rage engine. 1 unit typically equals 1 meter. So by plotting these coordinates on a graph, we don't just think the map is big, we can mathematically prove the distance between confirmed locations. For example, the distance from the Hank's Waffles diner robbery location to the center of Vice City was calculated to be several kilometers of open road. And this confirmed a massive gap between the rural and urban zones, which is really freaking sweet. So Rockstar builds their worlds using selective compression. And you probably know what I'm talking about just hearing that. Think about Red Dead Redemption 2. Even Red Dead Redemption 1, when you go to Mexico, it feels like you're so far from home when you're really not, but it just feels that way, right? It's kind of like how amusement parks design different themed areas. It's to create a space, a sense of distance, of you being far away from something else. And that's why I think especially open world video games, get compared so heavily to amusement parks. And it's because, in a lot of ways, they literally, they are amusement parks, virtual amusement parks. And, it's kind of interesting because when you have these virtual amusement parks, but you're also trying to find a way of creating a sense of realism and immersion, and it's kind of a balancing act, right? So anyways, I digress. So selective compression. So they shrink the boring stuff, the very long distance travel and all that kind of stuff, but they keep the landmarks. So in Grand Theft Auto 6, the compression ratio seems to be changing. So look at the 7-mile bridge equivalent shown in the trailer. In real life, the Florida Keys stretches like 100 miles. It's something crazy like that. In Grand Theft Auto 6, though, it's not going to be that long. But the scale of the bridge model, it does suggest a driving time of at least maybe 3 to 5 real-time minutes just across the archipelago. So compare this to Grand Theft Auto 5, where you could drive from Los Santos Airport to Paleto Bay, which is the entire map length, in about 6 to 7 minutes in a fast car. And that's really those highways to blame for that. So the presence of the Grass Rivers, or Everglades, is the biggest factor here. You cannot simulate the Everglades with a small park. To make airboats functional and immersive, that swamp alone needs to be the size of roughly 30 to 40% of the entire map. So if the swamp is that big and it's just one biome, the scale of the surrounding landmass has to increase to accommodate it. So let's talk a little bit about the mapping project. So this section is all speculation, but it is highly educated speculation, in quotes, from the GTA 6 mapping project. So this is a community of math wizards who have spent 3 years placing every single leaked tree, road sign, and building onto a 2D grid based on those verified coordinates. And I wouldn't even call them math wizards as much as just people who care, because they're smart. They are smart. I don't want to discredit any of their work, but they're not like magicians or whatever. These are people. Okay. So don't be super critical of their work or anything. They're doing all of this for free and just basically off of the excitement of the game, and that's why we're all here. That's why I'm talking to y'all about this. That's why you're listening. We're excited about this game, so they're doing their part, So what's their consensus? Well, the map is, of course, not infinite. It is not the entire United States. I don't think anyone expected anything that big, maybe one guy somewhere. But the estimated landmass size is currently projected to be roughly 1.5 to 2 times the size of Grand Theft Auto 5. But why only 2 times? And that is massive, 2 times the size of Grand Theft Auto 5, even 1.5 times. And I don't even think it's going to hit that, if I'm going to be totally honest. But listen, Grand Theft Auto 5's map was huge. And you're like, well, wouldn't you want Grand Theft Auto 6's map to be even bigger? Okay, well, hear me out. Grand Theft Auto 5's map was huge, yeah. But it was mostly dead mountains. I compared Grand Theft Auto 5's map to like walking on Mars or the moon. And I'm serious. Leave the city and just go walk around. You can see everything. There's not really many trees or bushes or anything. It looks like you're walking on the freaking moon. It's kind of ridiculous. So it was a bunch of wasted space. And the mapping project kind of looks at Grand Theft Auto 6's map and shows that it's flatter, but significantly wider, filled with usable space rather than unclimbable geometry. Their grid also suggests a map that combines the density of Los Santos with the sprawling multi-town distribution of Red Dead Redemption 2. So you aren't just getting one city in a desert, you're going to get 2 distinct urban centers, Vice City and Port Gellhorn, and then a massive swamp and an island chain, and they're all going to be separated by actual highway travel time with winding roads instead of just straight shots, stuff like that. And basically what I'm getting at is Grand Theft Auto 5 did have a big map. And Grand Theft Auto 6's map might not be that much bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5's map. Okay? But it might 1.5 times is bigger. But even if it's not, say it is just a 1-to-1 size, think about how they'll use the space. I think that they're going to use it much better than they did for Grand Theft Auto 5. Because when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, they had to design it with the hardware in mind. They had to design it with the Xbox 360 in mind, coming on multiple discs. So there was really a lot that they couldn't do. But now we're going to have a very deep and rich world that doesn't look like a freaking Ninja Turtle on the map. Just saying. Okay, so let's move on a little here. Do you guys remember the whole Project Americas thing and the whole evolving map thing? Do you remember that? It was a while back, but let's factor that in. Project Americas. Of course, I think that was a report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. Man, I cannot keep that guy's name out of my mouth. And that's because he is one of the most reliable insiders in the industry. He doesn't get everything right. So I know some people have their thoughts about Jason Schreier, but he reported that the original plan for Grand Theft Auto 6 was to include territories in both North and South America. However, this was scaled back to focus on Vice City and Leonida to avoid developer crunch. But I don't know. The takeaway from that, I think, is Rockstar reportedly plans to expand the map after launch. And I think that's pretty obvious, especially with Grand Theft Auto Online. This means that the day one map size might just be the foundation. And I'm not even going to say might. I'm going to say the day one map size is just the foundation. Because unlike Grand Theft Auto 5, which stayed the same static island for 10 years, Grand Theft Auto 6 is built with the architecture to add new cities or islands later. So when we ask, how big is it, man? Well, the answer might be, how big is it right now? And if I ever get asked that question again, I'm going to respond with that. So, oh my God. Anyways, because think about it, man. Think about the investment that's going into this game. Basically, what they're going to do is they're putting everything they can into it right now. And we know, just based off of kind of some of the stuff we're hearing about how Grand Theft Auto 6 might release digital only. So that's kind of a soft delay, which, allows them more time to work on it so they don't have to ship digital and then do a one-day patch. It just gives them more time to work on it until technically the last second. They're trying really hard not to push the game back, but something's going on right now to where they are really triple doubling down on just trying to make sure it's as big as possible. I think the game is going to blow us away, and it's not going to feel like a bare bones foundation. I think when we get it, the foundation is going to be so beyond anything we've ever experienced before with Rockstar games. And then they're going to add on to it and build onto it for Grand Theft Auto Online and create something that you've never seen it before. So it's kind of exciting because right now you haven't experienced this yet. I haven't experienced this yet. We're in the past. And in the future, you're going to be like, wow, we could have never imagined it getting to this point. And that's if they pull it off, but I'm pretty damn confident they will. This is going to be huge. Just, I don't think it could be stated enough, just how big. Something big's about to happen. It's going to be an explosion of innovation in the gaming industry. And I think that they're going to be the trendsetters for it. So we'll see. So based on these coordinates, the confirmed biomes, and the lack of mountain filler, well, what can we conclude? Well, at the very minimum, the map will be larger than Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 combined in terms of playable surface area. In playable surface area. I'm not saying that the map is going to actually be this much bigger, but as far as playable surface area, I would expect something about that size, especially if we get like vehicles and jets and stuff like that and can actually go their full speeds instead of traveling 40 miles per hour in a jet like in Grand Theft Auto 5, just with a bunch of crap on the screen to create the illusion that you're going really fast when you're up in the sky. So that's what I expect at the minimum, okay? Now, at the maximum, it is unlikely to be the entire state of Florida. Of course not. So I'm not expecting a 30-minute drive from city to city, although that personally wouldn't bother me because I'm weird. But Rockstar values pacing, of course, over the empty space, and they're kind of masters at it. So the 2 times, 3 times bigger rumors are plausible if you count water. You know, remember, Grand Theft Auto 6 has a focus on a bunch of stuff going on in the water, a lot of gameplay in the water, diving, boating, drug running. So if you include the ocean floor and the offshore islands in the playable volume of the world, it's likely triple Grand Theft Auto 5. But in terms of pure pavement, expect a map that feels about, at the absolute maximum, twice as wide as Los Santos. So ultimately, the map size is just a number. The real upgrade in Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't going to be square miles. It's going to be its density, its depth. They learned that lesson in Red Dead Redemption 2. That's when they, in my opinion, learned how to perfect open world gaming. Because when you play Red Dead Redemption 2, you can go up in the snowy mountains playing first person. You might as well be playing Skyrim. You know, it's insane. It is insane. Bethesda and Rockstar games used to be in 2 separate categories, but now Rockstar is kind of in their territory, and Bethesda's not doing so hot right now. So I'm just saying, a smaller world with 70% enterable buildings. Remember that number. And that's a rumor we still can't verify, by the way. But that's big. That's bigger, no matter how you want to cut it. If it's the same size, but you can go into 70% of the buildings when you can go into almost nothing in Grand Theft Auto 5, it's a huge, huge difference in quote-unquote map size. So based on the coordinates, Grand Theft Auto 6 is giving us enough room to get lost, enough swamp to hide some bodies, and enough highway to hit top speed. And honestly, in my opinion, that's big enough. So I think we're going to be good on the map size. In fact, I wouldn't even be worrying about it at all. When it comes out, I wouldn't be disappointed if it's not as big as your wildest expectations, because there's a reason it's not. Sometimes maps are too big. Sometimes they might just cut and cut and cut and cut from it. They may be doing that right now. Sometimes it's for the best to cut things. So just remember that. So that's everything I got on the map. So now let's move on to the next part. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about Grand Theft Auto 6's story and how it might be way darker than we think. So, I don't know, when you first think about when you watched the first trailer, right? And I remember I felt a little weird about it because there's the sun, there's the TikToks, there's all the neon lights, the whole Leonida Man, Florida Man trope, you know, that kind of thing. It looked fun and it looked like a giant party. And my brother, when he saw it, was like, oh, this looks like the game's lost its soul. And I was like, no. I watched it again and again and again. And at this point, I must have seen it thousands of times. I've seen it a ridiculous amount of times. It is burned into my brain. I am so tired of looking at it. Please give us trailer 3. But I digress. If you look at trailer 1 and you look real close, past all the twerking on the cars and, the alligators and the swimming pools and all that kind of crazy stuff, Rockstar has been leaving little breadcrumbs that point to something else entirely. So when you combine specific details of Lucia's prison sentence and then the whole Bonnie and Clyde archetype, which is confirmed by reliable reporting, and the subtle visual storytelling in the latest footage, there's a pattern there. A pattern emerges. Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't just going to be a satire of modern America. I mean, it very well is, but I think it's shaping up to be a tragedy. And I have done, excuse me, I have done a video about this in the past. Like, it can only end one way. And, it was one of the few times I've used AI on my thumbnails. And I recommend not doing that because every time I don't get a lot of views on those videos. So if you're a gaming channel, don't do that. Anyway, sorry, just a little side note there, a little tidbit. But anyways, let's talk about Lucia a little bit. The more I learn about her, the more I'm interested in her. And not like that, but you know what I'm saying? The more of an interesting character she seems to be. And so let's start with verified facts here. So we have Lucia. She starts her story as an inmate, according to trailer 1. We see her in the Department of Corrections. She's got the uniform on. She's, very much in prison. And then she has the ankle monitor in the artwork. So what does this imply? Well, in Grand Theft Auto 5, think about it. Michael was a retired and rich, spoiled brat, depressed because he was out of the game. He was happy, but he had everything he needed, but was miserable, right? Which is an interesting character. Okay, I will give him that. Michael was a pretty interesting character to some extent, even though I didn't really like him that much. Franklin was ambitious, but had the charisma of a cardboard box. Trevor was free, like just willy-nilly do whatever. He had that whole cowboy spirit, but he was an insane psychopath. So none of those three characters were relatable very much. Michael probably being the most, or Franklin. But Lucia, she's trapped, She's trapped at the beginning, and it seems like she has a positive outlook on potentially becoming free through maybe doing some sort of crime, stuff like that. So in the 2022 leaks, which, man, here we go. 2022 leaks, which Rockstar legally confirmed as authentic. They did show early gameplay tests where the character is seemingly navigating parole restrictions, which is really cool. We've never seen that in a game before. So while the mechanics themselves might change, I think that narrative weight is still going to be there. She is a character who has already lost, the busted screen already came up for her and she had to put her hands up. She's already failed, right? And so unlike the high-flying heists of Grand Theft Auto 5 where you're robbing banks because you want more money, Lucia's story seems framed by survival, which I think is a lot more relatable to us as players. And I had one commenter say, well, these characters aren't meant to be relatable. You shouldn't be able to relate to someone who would kill you and rob you and blah, blah, blah. And that's BS. This is a story, not real life. And yes, we should be able to relate to the characters or find something there. If they're not relatable, they need to be so damn interesting that we're curious how they tick, like the Punisher. And the Punisher has been so misunderstood. You guys need to go check out Garth Ennis. Check out Garth Ennis's version of Punisher. That's the Punisher, man. The stuff he does is not good. And anyways, I digress. It's just funny because I drive around, I see people having the Punisher stickers on their car, and I'm like, I know you haven't read the comics if you're rocking the Punisher skull. And I don't know, it sucks that that skull has become a symbolism for what it is, because there's such an irony to having that on your truck that anyways, that's a tangent. If you have one on your truck, go read the comics and then, see if you still want it on your truck. But anyways, the trust conversation that Lucia has in the trailer with Jason, I don't think that's just, a romantic whisper. It sounds like a real pact between them. Like there's something going on. There's some friction in their relationship up to that point. Maybe they haven't really been able to get it on quite yet. But there's been all this tension and things aren't quite right. And Jason's kind of pushing back a little bit. And Lucia's like, no, we got to do this crime stuff. And then in that moment, maybe they find some common ground. Jason's like, you know what? Maybe she's on to something. Maybe I can trust her. Maybe she's right. maybe we shouldn't play it so cautiously. And also, there's a woman on top of him, so it's really hard not to say it in return, right? So anyways, it seems like in that moment, she's kind of working her assets to kind of just be like, yo, you finally on board with me or not? And that tells us that something has been going on beforehand, some sort of friction in the relationship. Okay. And their dynamic, man, is going to be so cool. They're putting so much into this. I've never, like, just from the little crumbs and everything we get about it, it's shaping up to be something truly unique. I think it's going to blow all of us away. So anyways, reliable reporting from Bloomberg's, guess who it is? Jason Schreier, confirmed long ago that the story is inspired by Bonnie and Clyde. And I've covered this in previous videos, of course. And this is kind of a critical distinction, though, because Bonnie and Clyde were not supervillains. You know, they're desperate. They were. They got wasted courtesy of Uncle Sam's BAR rifles, but they were desperate. They were small-time crooks, and during the Great Depression, they got famous by accident, and then died violently in a police ambush, courtesy of those BAR rifles gunning them down in every which direction, which I think is a direct inspiration for Sonny getting gunned down in The Godfather. But anyways, Rockstar is truly leaning into this archetype. The dynamic between Jason and Lucia won't be the buddy cop banter of Michael and Franklin. It's likely going to be codependent and volatile. Think kind of, what is it, Catalina or Katarina? I can never remember. But in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, her relationship with CJ, it's not going to be so crazy. She's not going to be a La Toxica quite like that, but it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I mean, think about how she treated Claude at the beginning of Grand Theft Auto 3. Just saying. So in the trailer, we see them robbing a small convenience store. It's not a Federal Reserve, not a casino. It's a convenience store. So this is low-level crime. And this was really screaming at us that we need cash now. It's my money and I want it now. I'm just kidding. So this kind of suggests a return to the scrappy, dangerous rise to power that we saw in San Andreas or Grand Theft Auto 4, but grounded in a relationship that serves as the game's emotional core. So in noir fiction, romantic partners in crime rarely ride off into the sunset together. Usually, one of them has to make a choice. And I think Jason is going to have to make a pretty big choice in this game. So, man, I might turn these into videos later, like video videos. This is fun. I like talking about this. So what is some evidence here of this darker tone in trailer 2? Well, so in the second trailer, the first one was very much focused on social media, you know, that vibe. The second trailer gave us a little glimpse of the legitimate darkness in the world. You know, we see police raids on a dilapidated apartment complex. What else do we see? We see Lucia jumping out a window and the helicopter's chasing them. And it seems like the city is hunting them. You know, this isn't the kind of silliness of like stealing a jetpack from Area 69, like in San Andreas. It feels more gritty. Everyone's like posting up and looking at them like, huh, what's going on? You know, and the lighting, oh, it's great. And it just seems like something's going on and they need help and they're trying to get away. And this kind of reminds me, some of these shots remind me of El Camino. I don't know if y'all have seen that. It's the definitive ending for Jesse Pinkman in the Breaking Bad series. So I highly recommend checking that out, and especially Better Call Saul if you've never seen it. That's the greatest show of all time. So anyways, we see a bunch of police decked out, kitted out with plate carriers and all that kind of stuff doing raids. We see Lucia and Jason trying to get away, shooting. It seems like a game of cat and mouse between them and the cops. And the body cam footage vibe is also really cool, and it's gritty. It feels very Manhunt-esque. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. The world it just feels hostile. It feels like the state of Leonida, like I said, is actively hunting Jason and Lucia rather than just reacting to the stars that we might accumulate. So we also have to look at the setting. Vice City is Miami, and the real history of Miami crime, like you guys know about the Cocaine Cowboys. If you've listened to Joe Rogan or anything, he's talked about Cocaine Cowboys documentary a lot. At least he did years ago when I listened to him. But the Cocaine Cowboys era of the 70s and 80s and the modern opioid crisis is incredibly bleak. Because of how Florida is laid out in the United States in its positioning, it's easy for the drugs to flow in through it, right? It's a huge peninsula that juts out south, and all of the South American countries down there can get to it. That's where the drugs would come in. So naturally, there's going to be a lot of drug activity there, right? So Rockstar has always been able to mirror American culture, and they've tried to. They've excelled at it. And Grand Theft Auto 4 mirrored the post 9/11 fear, I think, very well. I mean, it's only seconds after you get in that car, and they're talking about how the bridges are closed due to terrorism. And they also kind of had the 2008 economic crash. They made a few comments and stuff on it in that game, even though the game came out that year. But, the writing was on the wall, and they kind of had a bunch of stuff in there about that. So in Grand Theft Auto 5, it did a good job mirroring the vanity of the 2010 celebrity culture, which maybe that's why I didn't like the game at all. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is, mirroring today. Think about things going on today. Maybe there's a lot of last-second additions due to the stuff that's happening in the United States right now. So we see homeless encampments in Grand Theft Auto 5's trailer. Do you remember? Think about now. So think about the disparity between the super rich on their yachts and the people twerking on top of the cars, So I don't know. It looks like a lot of money went into those cars. But I'm saying in Grand Theft Auto 5, they had a very much like, hey, here's the poor, here's the rich, and it's a dog-eat-dog world, and everyone's in pursuit of the almighty dollar. Grand Theft Auto 6 seems to kind of be like weird, wacky Miami. That wealth disparity is there, but you need that money to get away from a system that wants to take you in and put you behind bars. So there are themes of economic inequality that are just baked into the visuals, and that's just baked into almost every GTA ever. Any Rockstar title I've seen has, had some sort of commentary on it because, we live in a capitalist society, and not everyone makes it. It's a zero-sum game. Know what I'm saying? So Jason and Lucia aren't robbing the system because it's fun. I mean, maybe Lucia finds it fun, but there's kind of some subtext in the trailers that are pointing at them doing this more to just get by. Like, we need money, we need it now. Because it seems like Jason's doing all right. So why do they need this money? Why do they need it as fast as possible? What are they doing? Maybe they're just working for Brian and they're trapped working for him. Or maybe they are. Maybe, it could be possible too that they're not just trying to do this to survive, but do it to create some sort of amazing life. Or maybe they just love the rush of it. We don't know yet. Maybe one of them loves the rush of it and one of them does it because of circumstance. We don't know yet. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see. And I'm curious to see what they do with it, but I don't think it's going to end pretty. Okay, I'll say that. And I do want to touch on some details from the 2022 leaks. And I want to be, just again, be clear that take all this with salt. So in the leak footage, we saw systems for threaten and surrender. And we saw NPCs dropping to their knees and genuine fear during robberies. The AI reactions were, this cartoonish screaming that we had in Grand Theft Auto 5. And God, it's so annoying in Grand Theft Auto 5. The AI reactions looked real. They felt heavy. And this was only in the alpha stuff, the alpha testing. But it just seemed like what they were building there was much more grounded in reality than what you would see in Grand Theft Auto 5. We also saw loot bags, duffel bags, stuff like that, persistent inventory items. And this does imply a more grounded approach to crime where you're not pulling a rocket launcher out of your butt, but you're planning, you are managing weight, all that kind of stuff, coming up with your loadout. All the fun stuff from sim games added in to create a sense of realism while still balancing that arcadey fun that Grand Theft Auto was known for. So I think that this shift towards realism usually brings a shift towards serious storytelling. So think about how Red Dead Redemption 2 handled it. I think even Red Dead Redemption 1 kind of handled it well. And even Grand Theft Auto 4, I think 5 was a little all over the place, but whatever, they had fun with it. So the gameplay, if it feels real, it doesn't have to be real, but if it feels real, and of course it can't be real because it's not, but if it feels to you as if it's real, the story can't just be a cartoon like Grand Theft Auto 5. The two have to match, right? And I think that maybe there was some narrative dissonance there in 5 because of that. Sometimes it wanted you to take things seriously. Sometimes it was all a joke. And it just, I don't know, it felt like it was trying to do something and just didn't do it. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think because it made billions of dollars, but the two have to match. So if you have to physically drag a body to hide it, the game is asking you to sit with the weight of the action in a way that Grand Theft Auto 5 never did. So hiding bodies, going prone, moving around, more like Metal Gear Solid stuff. And to where every NPC that you shoot is a person with a name. You know, that's how I want to feel. You shouldn't be able to just shoot somebody in a game and them be like flies. They should feel like people. And Red Dead Redemption 2, I think, did an excellent job of this. When you're robbing people and stuff, when you shoot them, it just feels like you took a life. It's messed up. You don't like killing people in Red Dead Redemption 2, unless you're just doing it for funsies. But, you know, if you're role-playing the game, you know, Arthur, it feels wrong, man, to like shoot someone who doesn't deserve it. And you try not to, you know? At least I do. I don't know what y'all do, but I'm just saying. So think about that with Red Dead Redemption 2. The game tricked us. You know, we thought it was going to be some crazy big cowboy shooter. And it turned out to be a tragedy about loyalty and death, which is super Western. It looks like it was more of the, the post-Western kind of vibes, you know, like Unforgiven and all that kind of stuff. And then think about Grand Theft Auto 4. We thought it was going to be an next-gen GTA, and it was, but it turned out to be a depressing look at the impossibility of escaping your past. So Rockstar is always like, you know, you look at a Rockstar game, you're like, oh, this is going to be this next-gen big Grand Theft Auto game. But you got to remember, Rockstar always has something to say. Except for maybe in Grand Theft Auto 5. But I'm so sorry if you're a fan of Grand Theft Auto 5 and I'm just constantly beating up on it. Yeah, and I would say that it is really the outlier, Grand Theft Auto 5, even if you love it, because it is really the only mainline Rockstar game in the last 15 years that is just purely cynical and fun. So, and with Dan Houser, the lead writer of the series, having left Rockstar after Red Dead 2, a lot of fans are worried that the writing will lose its edge. But the team that remains is the same team that built Arthur Morgan's Ark. So remember that. The same people who brought you Arthur Morgan, they're still there. The visual language of the trailers, the sunsets, screenshots, all that kind of stuff, the intimacy between Jason and Lucia, the focus on their faces rather than just explosions. I mean, look at all the close-ups and emotion that is pouring out in these trailers. Go back through them. You'll see what I'm saying. And I think that this suggests that they are aiming for that Red Dead emotional weight, but applying it to a modern crime thriller. So, what do you think? Think I'm right? Think I'm wrong? Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is questions, but before we get into it, I do want to do this little brief part here of the podcast to talk to you guys about this PlayStation 5 giveaway. So, I won't lie, I currently don't know what kind of PlayStation 5 I'm going to give away. If I can afford to give a Pro, I'll do it. If I can't, I won't. I'll give whatever I can, but it will be a PlayStation 5. Okay. This is the first time I've ever done a giveaway, and it sucks that you have to live in the United States to do it, but I was looking at doing it in other places, and it just seems impossible. So I've been getting emails from people, and I'm not responding. And I'm not responding because I want to make sure that I want it to be magical. You know, like I want, when the person gets it right, I want to respond and be like, you did it. And they got the response, you know? I'm trying to create an experience here that's fun. And it seems like people are kind of struggling with it. But I think maybe the people who aren't struggling with it just aren't speaking up, because why would they? So I think it's pretty straightforward though. So if you are playing, none of the codes or any of that stuff are going to be in the podcasts. Okay. They're only going to be in the main, just the videos. So if there's a number at the top of the thumbnail, the top right, and then the Dandy Andy Experience thing on the left, there's no code hidden in it. The podcast that ain't about that. It's just for you and I to hang out. But in the videos, there's little numbers that I'm going to be hiding, and they're in jump frames, and you have to get, pause just right. So you got to make sure you get them all in chronological order, because that's how I'm putting them out. So you might miss one. You got to make sure. Eventually, so in this vehicle video, I announced it. That had 2 in there, 2 of the codes. There are a lot of them, okay? Because these codes are going to mean something. So at the end of all of this, once all the codes are out, I'm going to tell people, hey, they're out. You're going to take the codes, you're going to write them down, put them on a piece of paper, figure it out. What does it mean? And the first person to send me the answer wins. So that's how that works. So people are sending me like the actual codes that they got from the actual frames. I'm like, don't do that. Well, I haven't even responded. Someone sent me something and was like, I think it's bark. I'm like, what? I don't even know how they came up with that, but congratulations to them. It's not that deep. It's really not. And I think once you guys figure it out, you're going to be like, Duh. So if you need a PlayStation 5, and I would say if you already have a PlayStation 5 and you're doing it, and you're playing along just to have another PlayStation 5 just so you can sell it and make some money, maybe give some consideration to the folks who don't have one or can't afford one. I personally can't afford one for myself yet. I'm doing this for you guys before I do it for me, because I want to make sure that I talk a lot about Grand Theft Auto 6 and I get people hyped for it. And I want to make sure that they have a device to play it on. And then I'll take care of myself later down the road. I'm not worried about that. So I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there, just say it. And yeah, so now let's get into your questions. So for some reason, the shout out time thing popped into my head where I go shout out time. And then the do music popped into my head. I'm like, wait, this isn't shout out time. So I was about to go questions, but why not? Question time, just imagine that cheesy 80s music going on, which I love. I love synthwave. I love it so much. But let's start off with BH Cozy Chris again. BH Cozy Chris 410. So this isn't a question, but he put question there because he wanted me to say it, and I'm going to say it. So he said, I would love to see more Grand Theft Auto 4 characters like Nico make a return in Grand Theft Auto 6. I just noticed that the Russian Mafia has connections in Vice City after playing Grand Theft Auto 4. Okay. And then you had an addendum or whatever, however you say that. I would love to see Luis return in Grand Theft Auto 6 online, doing security work in fight clubs with Luis, Gaetoni. I think, okay, I do think we're going to see them return if we see anyone return. I think they really botched Brucey in Grand Theft Auto 5, but I do think if we see anyone return, it's going to be from the Ballad of Gaetoni. We know what happens to Johnny in Grand Theft Auto 5, unfortunately, so we're not going to see him anymore. And with how it went with Michael Hollick, did I say that right? Is that his name? I'm not going to look it up. But the guy who voiced Nico in Grand Theft Auto 4, I don't know if we're ever going to see him again. I did a video about it and it just says no. There's really no reason to think we're going to see him in this at all. Maybe in the future. That would be a huge fan service thing for Grand Theft Auto Online for guys like me who love Grand Theft Auto 4. You want to get me into Grand Theft Auto Online? Have Nico show up old and be like, hey, I need you to do this stuff for me. And I'll be like, dude, I'm there. I'm there. What do you need? What do you need, daddy? So anyways, I don't think we're going to see him. I got a video about it and the thumbnail is just a big no with Nico in front of the no. So just look for that on my channel if you want to learn more about that. But thanks for adding that, PH Cozy Chris. Then we have Killer Cameron 94. And you said, how excited are you to get more movies and TV shows in the universe that are much better graphics? And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and heart these as I go through them. So how excited am I to get more movies and TV shows in the universe that are much better graphics? Excited, I guess. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it in Grand Theft Auto 4. I really like how they did the History channel in Grand Theft Auto 4. I am really excited to see if they can match that humor. The writing's the most important part, right? I don't really care what's on the screen, how realistic it looks. I just care that it's doing a thing and it does it well. Think about the men's room. Stuff was hysterical. There wasn't really anything in Grand Theft Auto 5 that spoke out to me. Maybe the continuation of Republican Space Rangers was funny. There was also that weird anime show that popped up with the chick with the big boobs. And every time that popped up, I was like uncomfortable around my buddies. I was like, oh, I hope they don't, think I'm watching this. So, because of all the sounds and stuff that get made. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do. I wonder if they're going to do, the Weasel News is like Fox News. So I'm really curious to see what they do with that, considering everything going on in the States. I don't know. And the cool thing is they can add stuff like that up until the very last second. So great question. Then we have He Poppy. And please, guys, let me know if I'm saying your names correct. So in the co-op question, I didn't mean split screen or even on console. Maybe when the game comes to PC, co-op could be an option. If online exists, surely they could pull off a 2-player server. It would be cool for you and your buddy to play the mission on your own. Those are meant for one character only, and then come together for those that involve both characters. Also, like that, you'd be fully invested in the character you play. I know it's very, very unlikely, but I still hope thinking that they spike in 2-player games in recent years. Oh, okay. So you didn't mean actual split screen. You meant just online multiplayer with 2 players going through something together. I don't know, man. I'll just tell you, I don't know if they're going to add that. I don't think so. I think that their main focus is going to be the game and then Grand Theft Auto Online. And I mean, you could team up with a buddy and go to a private server and do all the Grand Theft Auto Online stuff. Now, if you're talking about going through the game and single player with a buddy, I don't think so. Just because it wouldn't make sense narratively, right? Now, Of course, I could always be wrong, but I would not expect that at all. So I'm just saying, not saying I don't want it, just saying I wouldn't expect it. But it's a good question. I appreciate you clarifying what you really meant so that I could answer it better. And if I butchered responding to it again, please let me know. All right, then we have, what is this? Valentin Hernandez. I'm so sorry, guys. But all right, so your question is, so this is my question. This question is, how are you, Andy? I'm doing all right, man. I don't know. I feel weird. I kind of miss a lot of things about the past, but I'm really happy to be here in the present. I've lost a lot of friends over the years for a multitude of reasons. And there's a specific anniversary coming up on February 2nd. And it will be 10 years since I lost my best friend. So, and it's just weird how time does that, So it sucks, It's weird, man. It's like after I got out of high school, just people started dying. And it's like, what's going on, y'all? Everyone chill out. And I had a high school bully, as soon as I get out of high school, I don't have to worry about seeing him anymore because he ran into a tree. He's gone. I had another one who was his friend. Well, and also by a tree, but he didn't run into it. He unalived himself in front of this tree. And then his parents, they planted another tree there where their son passed away, and that tree died. And I don't know. And then I've got some other stuff going on right now that's just let me just say that the people you think you know, you don't. You just make sure you know them, man, because sometimes people do some wild, dark stuff. People that you put a lot of trust into, people that you love, people that you care about, can betray that and do just some pure evil, sick stuff. And sometimes it's hard to, accept that could happen. And then also to accept that there's consequences for their actions. A lot of crazy, dark stuff going on in the world too, just with everything. And the older you get, the more jaded you kind of become to stuff. You start experiencing things. You have a heart that's open, and you let that, at least with me, if you had a good childhood, and you go out into the world and you open that heart up to the world, and it grabs it and squeezes it and throws it on the ground and stomps on it, and then spits on it and tells you that, you're a piece of crap. Don't do that. You're weak, and it hardens you. It hardens you. And I know, I'm just being super vague, but I can't get into details about stuff. I don't know. So anyways, I'm sorry. That was a huge tangent. I'm hanging in there, man. I'm not going to lie, this channel, and then Willow and, Joe, that's what gets me by, man. Without this, I don't know. So, I would still get by. I just make a lot of sad boy music. But I'm doing all right. I'm as happy as I can be. I'm alive. I'm breathing. My problems could always be a million times worse if I had it's like everything feels like a big deal until you have a health problem, right? So if I was diagnosed with cancer or something right now, it would totally change my answer. I'd be like, things are great, because it changes your outlook on your life, right? Because you only have a limited time, that kind of thing. And things would be much worse subjectively. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have just told you I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, though. Sasaki Streams. Love your work and personality. I'm a fan and want to ask a question. Do you think you'll upload a playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 6? I would love to watch your take on it after I beat it, since Grand Theft Auto 4 is also my favorite. I think you might have covered if you would do a playthrough on the Creator Roundtable, but can't remember. Keep up the great content. You're killing it. Thank you for the amazing question comment thingy. I don't remember what I said on the Roundtable either. What I do remember is that they didn't turn my audio down, so I'm like, blah, blah, every time I talk. But what I will say is, that sounds so pretentious. I mean, yes, I'm going to stream it. Well, the reason I said what I will say is I'm thinking, I did buy recently a capture device that works for the PS3 because the PS3 is a piece of crap when it comes to recording stuff. I actually bought that right before the Grand Theft Auto 5 or the Grand Theft Auto channel or the Grand Theft Auto stuff took off because I was going to cover Hitman Contracts, which no one cares about, even though it's an incredible game and you should go play it. But yeah, so I have that now so I can capture footage. I just need a PS5. But I'm going to take care of y'all first before I do that. So, but yeah, man, I'll definitely be doing that. Thanks. All right. Then we have BH Cozy Chris again. What's up, homie? What seasonal weather conditions would you like to see brought to Grand Theft Auto 6 Online? I would love to see flooding make movement and driving more challenging, and then heat waves that lower the characters' in-game stats, like in Helldivers 2. I like it. I love all of that. The more the merrier, in my opinion. The more the map changes around me, the more it feels like a world. I love it when games can create the feeling of night and wind. And Grand Theft Auto 4 did a very good job with that. So did Fallout 3. Something about games from that time, the way the night looked and the atmosphere and the surrounding sounds of the wind passing by. It's a very cold feeling. And it speaks to my heart for some reason. That loneliness, that isolation. I feel so close to it. And it's almost nostalgic now. So if they could create that feeling out in the night and in the woods and all that, which is, I did a lot of crazy stuff growing up at night in the woods. So it would be, that sounds crazy and creepy as hell, doesn't it? Not like that, but just like running around with buddies and stuff. So I don't know if I want to see them capture that, if that makes any sense. I want to see them capture the emotions that seasons make me feel. And then you've successfully done a season. Like fall. I love fall. I love fall in Texas. And I swear it used to get cold in October and it doesn't anymore. And it makes me so sad. So anyways, yeah, I would like to see more seasons and stuff, man. And I love your idea. I've talked about flooding, changing the map and environment and stuff. So I think that would be really cool. Then we have XP Clips 3487. Question: would you like the ending to force you to kill/betray one of the protagonists? Because I feel as though I could play as Arthur and John at the same time, and the game forced you to kill one. I'd be pretty mad and sad, especially after the story, and now you can't free roam with both. Well, it's kind of ironic that you asked this question. We talked about what we talked about today. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see. I think we're going to have some tough decisions to make, and I don't think it's going to be kind of a cookie cutter, not cookie cutter, but just soft. I feel like Grand Theft Auto 5's ending was soft. And I know I haven't beaten it, but I've seen the endings and I've seen all the endings and I've played up to the ending. So I think I can talk about it. And I would say, yes, I think that, or they're going to subvert expectations, and hopefully they're not doing it in the Game of Thrones season 8 kind of way. And they do it in the, we actually can write and care about what we're doing way. And, we have something that really stings and hurts, because Red Dead Redemption 1's ending, man, broke me as a kid. I wasn't even a kid. How old was I? I was well past being a kid, but it was, man, it hurt. And I kept going back and over and trying to get it done. Like trying to shoot all the army guys so that John could live. I was like, oh, maybe I need to equip this certain gun or something like that, like the Mauser or something like that, so that I can survive, have enough ammo. Nothing you do saves you. And I think that was done intentionally to create the illusion that maybe you could potentially survive this and there's an alternate ending. Turns out, no. It stung, it hurt, I was mad about it, I thought about it for days, and then I started the game over and played it again, and it hurt me all over again. And to this day, I love it. And Jack, you're so pissed off. You want to go shoot up Blackwater, but you go there and there's a mission chain that starts. It's like they knew that you would be feeling this way, and you're going to go to the first urban center and start shooting up the government because of what they did, and they killed your dad, right? And then you go search for Edgar Ross, and I don't know. It was so good. It was so good. So I hope they give us a tragedy like that. And I hope it is a tragedy, none of us are getting out of here alive. It's all going to be, every ending's a sad ending. And I think that's what makes it so human to have such a tragic ending, because when you have a happy ending, you just haven't gotten to the true ending yet, where you go away. So I don't know. I'm sorry, man. Great question. Moving on to Killer Cameron 94 at 43:30. I watch every video. I don't ever remember a shootout or shout out. Yeah, I've given you a shout out. In fact, I've got you written down for a shout out in this next video just because of this comment. Still show up every time though. Can't comment on all of them because I put them at the top of my playlist so I can listen while I work. When I was talking about the second question, I was referring to the second question in the video. Oh no. That would entail pulling up new windows and going to different things. Kelly Cameron, homie, I'm so sorry. If you write out like a detailed question or whatever on what you want answered, I will do it. Because basically how I do it is I get like a little screen pulled up, and on the left, I have my notes, and on the right, I have all of your questions and everything. And deviating from that is like messing with the space-time continuum. So if you write out like a full-blown question or whatever, I'll answer it. Just put question and then put it. I'm sorry I let you down, dog. And don't worry, I got a second shout out coming for you. Okay? It's going to be all right. And I appreciate you so much, man. And then we have Big Bash 8011. Hey, Andy, question. 3 actually. Oh, okay. What, in your opinion, is Rockstar's most underrated game and why? Where does Grand Theft Auto land amongst your list of favorite video game franchises? And how would you rank the list if you had to say? And lastly, what kind of games do you want Rockstar to make once they're ready to make original games again? I've been watching your channel for months, and I love hearing your insider knowledge on all things Rockstar. Take care, and you may have a blessed day. Thank you so much, man. You as well. And I will say I'm not really an insider because I'm not inside. Sorry, my brain is in the gutter. But let's break down your questions here. Let's go step by step. So, in my opinion, Rockstar's most underrated game is either Manhunt 2 specifically, or Bully. Outstanding games. Yeah, hell, you can even see the Max Payne games. I feel like the Max Payne games got more love. If you haven't played Bully or any of the Manhunt games, go play them. They're incredible and they're awesome. And you can get the uncensored versions on the internet through Magic. So yeah, I would go check those out. Also, they're in the world of Grand Theft Auto. So if you want more lore of the Grand Theft Auto worlds and all that kind of stuff, go play them. They're really fun. Also, maybe you could say the portable stuff, even though that wasn't really an underdog or anything like that. I mean, now that I think about it, all of these games were really huge hits when they came out. There's probably a game I'm thinking of, one of the Midnight Clubs even. I don't know, man. I feel like all of their games have been such a huge, massive hit and have gotten all the praise and recognition they deserve. But if you haven't played Bully or the Manhunt games, go play them. All right. So, and then what else did you say? Roy. So where does Grand Theft Auto land amongst your list of favorite video game franchises? My number one favorite is Metal Gear Solid, for nostalgia reasons. You know, I mentioned a specific date coming up. I have, I'll share this with you. Why not? I have my only tattoo is a tribute tattoo to that guy. And, it's on my shoulder. And basically it's, a Metal Gear Solid style tattoo. And it's because we grew up playing Metal Gear Solid together. Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, the original Metal Gears. Eventually Metal Gear Solid 4, I went to the midnight release with him to that. And then he wasn't around, I don't think, for Metal Gear Solid 5. Or if he was, he wasn't shortly after. So basically that our relationship was heavily tied around Metal Gear, and that sounds weird, but we grew up with it, you know? So like we had like a little club in the early 2000s to where we were like kicking, you know, to where I think we called ourselves Guns of the Patriots or Sons of Liberty or something like that. We just took one of the titles. No, it was Sons of Liberty because it was 2001 or 2. And we go and like do these airsoft battles with each other and drive around on land and shoot guns and just do all sorts of crazy stuff, get hurt, you know, get into fights. I miss it. And so for that reason alone, and then Metal Gear Solid 3, we played through it together. And I even played through it with another buddy to where he would take over. I would hand him the controller every time I opened up the cure menu. And he was like, I'm the medic. And then he would like kill Snake. And then we'd go back and just keep playing it. And it was really freaking cool. And, you know, I did stuff like that with my main buddy here I'm talking about. And we'd go through it together. He knew all the tips and tricks, you know, without the internet. He just found them out and he would share them with me. And so it's so cool going back through the remaster and doing that. And I'm just so sad that he's not here to see it because he would have loved it, you know? So Metal Gear Solid, right below that, the Red Dead stuff, right below that, probably the GTA stuff, right below that, probably the Elder Scrolls. So yeah. And then, okay, what kind of game do you want Rockstar to make once they're ready to make an original game again? Okay, that medieval game, that medieval open world game, I've been thinking about it forever. Look, we need a game to where you need to travel back in time and you have one rifle and you have maybe 3 magazines. That's it. And maybe like there's some supply drops that come from like the future or something. And you're in this medieval world and there's some sort of war that you have to change the events of or something like that. And you get sucked into it. And you end up becoming like some knight / gun wielding badass. And you could, I mean, this rifle, there would be a lot of significance around it. You could like turn it in to the king and then they could reverse engineer it and then dramatically change the outcome. Some big RPG kind of thing. It sounds weird, but every time I imagine it like with Red Dead 2's physics and stuff like that. So I just want something crazy like that. And they were making a medieval game and I think it got canned. So my dream was almost true, not even without the time traveler element. Now there is this game coming out where you can shoot a bunch of people with guns in the medieval times, and I am so pumped for that. So if that game and then whatever Rockstar was originally making and with a medieval setting, if those got together and had a baby, that's my dream game from Rockstar. Okay, so great questions, man. Thank you. Then we have Derek Olbris. I think I said that right. Question: what are your thoughts on the Versace mansion on Ocean Drive? I don't know. If you're okay, whoa. Are you asking about like the GTA 5 online update? I haven't played it. Oh, wait, hold on. You can see, I'm dumb. You can see in trailer 1 a flying shot over the beach. It's an iconic spot on Ocean Drive, and I have not heard any YouTubers talk on it. It was the former mansion of the clothing designer Gianni Versace. Man, I'm butchering this. And he was shot on his doorstep. I wonder if they will tie that into the game. It's now a hotel and restaurant that I was at last year. So much detail in the place from the entrance to the pool. Thoughts? By the way, enjoy the channel. Thanks for the great content. Thank you so much for the question. I'll tell you right now, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I will also tell you that I could probably answer your question in a much better way. And by confirming if locations like that will be in the game. I'm working on a video covering that. Covering real life locations that are confirmed to be in the game. So that's very interesting. I don't know anything about that. And I appreciate you asking. So I'll look into it and I'll see if I can remember to put that in this next video. It might already be in there, actually. Still messing around with the script, but I'm doing locations, confirmed locations in Grand Theft Auto 6. So we'll see if that's in there. And if it's not, then that doesn't mean it won't be in the final game. Like if I don't put it in my video just because there's nothing on it, because I like to pull directly from the stuff I've seen. So we'll see. That's a great question though. And I really appreciate you asking. And it's interesting when you have these experiences in places, you want to see them reflected in the video game world, especially if you live somewhere or, like when I was spending a lot of time in Washington, DC and Virginia and stuff, and I was taking the metro and stuff like that. It was really cool then to see in Fallout 3 that the metro system does look like that. It's weird looking. It's got that round like catacomb thing around you in the top. So Fallout 3, that's what the metro system looks like in real life. So they did a great job. Anyways, sorry I couldn't answer that better. All right, then we have Yeah Mans and Dim. Okay. Question, do you think they will finally do radio DLC? I've personally have been begging. No, I don't. I don't think they're going to do radio DLC. I think they might do something like, like they did with Drake or whatever, and you get like 1 song or 2 songs licensed in there. But the biggest thing with music is licensing, and artists are desperate to make any money they can off of their music because they have been royally screwed by the streaming services. You don't make money off music the way you used to. It used to be a physical product you could walk into a store and purchase, and I got to experience the very tail end of that, and I miss it. Now it's like you could still do it. You could go get vinyl, and people do go get records for the sake of it, but it's not like it used to be to where you had to do it, and to where owning a song was precious, owning a CD, owning a record, and I was the CDs generation. I wasn't the record store. I can only imagine how magical that was to go to a record store in the 70s and 80s and buy a record, and that be the only way you could experience music. And you have no idea who this artist is, whose that is. You get sold on it. Maybe an artist is doing a meet and greet there. I'm sorry, total tangent, but I'm just talking back to a time where music was a more magical experience. Okay. Now it's all digital and weird and Facebookified, and But no, I don't expect DLC because of licenses are a bitch. So maybe if there's like a temporary license, something like that, but I could be wrong, but I don't know. I would easily pay $15 to $20 for new stations, hosts, new songs like once a year. It's another revenue. I should read before I speak. They might do that. Yeah, there you go. That's how they would do that, is money. Also, do you think there will be an actual Spotify option for the radio like some of the new games out there on PS5? I do think that will be in there. If not at launch, I do think that integration is coming eventually. It would be stupid not to, wouldn't it? Unless they are doing the DLC stuff, like you said, and they really want to push that and have you listen to the stuff. I guess they wouldn't really care if you're listening to the songs if you're paying for extra radio stations. At the same time, that would make a lot of people angry. Man, you're making me think today. I don't know. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's really cool. On another note, we see Lucia picking up trash after jail. Do you think that will be some mini game we have to do after getting arrested? Instead of just immediately walking out of the jail after a cutscene, maybe we have to, do 15, 20 minutes in jail after getting caught after a certain SAR rating similar to GTA RP. Great content as usual. Best from the best upcoming GTA YouTuber. You're doing an awesome job, bro. Dude, I appreciate you so much. And I will say this. I will say that my favorite thing about movies and video games is when we start off slow and we ramp up and then bam, action. Think about, have you ever seen Glory, 1989's Glory? I like how Robert Goldshaw starts off with him sending a letter to his mom. He's never experienced combat before. And bam, he's in battle. It's his first time. So I hope it doesn't start out like Grand Theft Auto 5 to where it starts off with a shootout. I don't like that. I prefer stuff like Grand Theft Auto 4's intro to where it's like you're arriving, and the world is opening up to you. Like San Andreas did it. Vice City, like if you're going to have like some big crazy thing like in Vice City happen to where you need to go and recoup, do it right there at the beginning. But don't make it playable, make it a cutscene. And then drip feed us the gameplay mechanics while we're in prison as Lucia. I would love it. I think that's funny, or fun and a good idea. And I think it'd be cool too, because you could also switch back and forth between Jason, like we could be doing her for a while, and then just see what Jason's up to, his day in the life. So if you're not aware of story beats, that section would be called Day in the Life. And eventually there's some sort of a call to action. Something happens that throws a wrench into the day in the life, and now you have to go off and save the princess or whatever, So I'm curious to see what they do. Great questions. Hey, this is from Melissa Orrs. Melissa Orrs 9602. Hey, another amazing video again, but I have a question for you since I could not stop myself from asking it, like a bride couldn't stop her mother-in-law asking from asking. Anyway, I've talked much. Do you think in GTA 6 cartels or gangs will play a bigger role, and can you make a video about that? Yes, I'll make a video about it. Yeah, one's on the way. I'll do it. I will make it happen. And in fact, I will credit you. All right, boom. New video, boom. New video just happened, just like that. That's how videos are made here. So thank you. I'll do that, Melissa. All right. Price Lamonti. Oh, I've given you a shout out, and that's why I went right to saying it like that. What's up, homie? So my guy, I can tell you is tired in this video. Yes, I was so tired. But I like you dropping these GTA videos back to back like crazy, like dedication. By the way, I had a question. You think they'll let you explore other cities with different weather conditions in GTA Online? Yeah, there's going to be multiple locations, like Port Gellhorn or whatever. It's not going to be as big as Vice City, but it's going to be big. It's going to be new locations. I think they're going to add new locations. And they would be shooting themselves in the foot if they didn't have a lot of weather conditions. And it's looking like they're going to have it. So yes, I think yes to both of your questions. All right. Then we have Kobe Collins, 6785. Question: if they put skills in the game, do you think they will go in depth with them like in San Andreas, or will it be like 5? Also, how in depth do you think the gun or in-car customization will be? P.S. Hope this question ain't too long. Much love, bro. Keep up the good work. It ain't too long, bro. I mean, we've answered some much longer questions already. I really appreciate everything you had to say there, Kobe Collins, and these are some great questions. It's a great question. And it's one worth asking. Are they going to go the arcadey Chuck E. Cheese route like they did with Grand Theft Auto 5? Or are they going to, man, that's so mean and disparaging. Or are they going to give us the San Andreas stuff? I hope it's more in-depth than San Andreas. I'll just say that. I don't know. I would imagine it's not going to be as in-depth as San Andreas, if I'm being totally honest. But I've been wrong before. When I saw Red Dead Redemption 2, I wasn't that impressed until I played the game. The only thing that was impressive to me before I played the game was the graphics. The second I played it and I started seeing all the immersive elements they had going into first person, picking things up, I was like, oh my God. So I hope we get that. And they should, because their audience has grown up and we need more complex features in games. And it's not like it's rocket science to get into this stuff, or it wasn't Think about how old we were when we were playing San Andreas. A lot of us were kids, you know? So, I don't know. I hope so. And I wish I could just tell you. I wish I had the answers. They might not even know. They might still be figuring that out right now at this moment, stressing out across the seas, or across the pond, as they like to say. Anyways, great question. Cam the Man 32. Hey, Andy, love the long videos while I'm driving all the time, man. Well, hey, if you're driving right now, man, I think this is going to be a long one. So I'm glad to be hanging out with you. Love the GTA talk, and I love the message of be kind. Well, yeah, man, we got to be kind to each other, man. It's dark out there. It's dark, crazy, dangerous world. You know, my question for you is, what do you hope for in terms of an economy and GTA Online going forward? I like the idea of having a long grind to maybe move to a Vice City high-rise, or maybe do a few jobs and be able to afford a place in Port Gellhorn or in one of the other areas. I enjoy GTA 5 Online, but I hate the economy. Weapons that cost multiple hundreds of thousands and cars that require a week of grinding for. I want to have to work for a Porsche, but also be able to just buy an old pickup and live in the middle of nowhere until I can. Appreciate what you do. Thank you so much, Cam the Man. Great questions. Let's see. So let me rewind a little bit here. There's a little bit of a long one and my brain is starting to turn into mush. So as far as what I hope for in the terms of the economy and Grand Theft Auto Online going forward, I just want it to make sense. Okay. I'm not, like a macro economist or whatever, or I'm not an economist or, whoever does the stuff with money and figures it all out. I'm not some financial expert or anything like that. I just want it to make sense. I just want it to make sense. And why not make the dollar values feel real? Make it make sense. I don't know. It's because they're trying to create a gameplay loop. But you got to remember when they had the base of Grand Theft Auto Online and they had to build off of it, and the game became tied together with duct tape and bubblegum. So I don't know. I think now they have a stronger foundation. We're going to see an economy that makes more sense. Maybe eventually this will grow to become something even bigger than what they could possibly imagine, which is crazy to think about. And then again, the economy will be broken. So I don't know. It would be neat if they had something like the stock market in RuneScape, because I remember that was me and all my autistic buddies. That's what we were doing, is playing the stock market there in RuneScape. That's it. That was the big fun of the game, is playing the market. So it'd be cool to have something like that, a player-controlled market, which they originally were going to do with Grand Theft Auto 5 with the stock market, but I think it got exploited really fast. So I hope they bring that back, because being able to reach out and touch the world and have real world impact, and knowing like, oh, this is in this state, the stock is down or whatever because another player did X, Y, and Z. That's cool. Makes it feel like you're actually living in the world. So yeah, the weapons that cost multiple hundreds of thousands, absolutely stupid. And the cars grinding for, and for what? You customize and trick it out to what? Show a buddy one time? That's it. I don't know. It is fun to build a really cool tricked out car collection though. I did do it. So all right, so that concludes episode number 7 of the Dandy Andy Experience. That's insane, guys. We got through this together. We did it. If you want your questions answered in a future video, type in question, type out your question, and I'll answer it. I believe I got every single guy and gal from episode 6 just now answered. So I will do it. I'll answer every single question for each and every one of these podcasts. I'll just look at the previous podcast, take all of the questions, put it in the next podcast. So please, if you got a question, I'll respond. Or at least give my thoughts, because I'm not an insider or whatever. But anyways, guys, really appreciate y'all listening / watching, maybe even watching me run around Fallout New Vegas or whatever. But I want you to take care of yourself out there. Be kind. It's a really scary time, I know, and it'll probably get worse if I'm being real, but it'll get better too. And nothing lasts forever. Not even this long, dreaded wait of Grand Theft Auto 6. So even if it gets pushed back again, you will get it eventually. So stay safe. Stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your shift if that's what you're doing. If you're driving, be safe on the road. Put on another one of these, man. Let's hang out. Let's talk. I like the idea of being on your radio and being there with you, because I like to listen to podcasts too when I travel, and I feel like I'm there hanging out and talking to the person. And it's because we are. So if you're listening to me through the radio right now, I hope you're doing okay, man. And be careful on the road. Watch out. There's a cop I saw a couple miles back. I don't think you saw him while you were listening to me, but I saw him for you. So just be careful, okay? Don't get pulled over. Anyways, guys, that's enough joking around. Have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whatever. Just stay safe out there, y'all. Much love and peace.
Thank you for listening to the Dandy Andy Experience.